In 2012, during a renovation at Faithstone Ministries in Canyon, Texas, a grim discovery was made that shocked the local community. The body of 28-year-old Rachel Barnes was found hidden within the church grounds. Rachel had been missing for 2 years, and her sudden reappearance unearthed a slew of unsettling questions about the beloved Reverend Samuel Grayson. Known for his charismatic sermons and compassionate demeanor, Grayson's public persona began to unravel as investigators dug deeper. This case opened a Pandora's box of secrets surrounding the respected preacher. What was initially just a renovation project turned into a full-blown criminal investigation, exposing a double life filled with manipulation and deceit. As the community grappled with disbelief, the evidence began to paint a picture of a man who used his influence for nefarious purposes, far removed from the spiritual guidance he was supposed to provide. What led a revered religious leader to become embroiled in such a sinister affair? This story isn't just about the crime itself, but about the shocking betrayal by a man many trusted as their moral and spiritual guide. Let's explore how Samuel Grayson's past actions and his role at Faithstone Ministries are pivotal in understanding the depth of this betrayal. Let's delve into the life of Emily Parker, the woman at the center of this troubling story. Emily, a 35-year-old music teacher from Canyon, Texas, was known for her kind nature and dedication to her students. Her life took an unexpected turn when her marriage ended in 2009, leaving her to face a deep and isolating loneliness. To cope, Emily immersed herself in her teaching and sought comfort in her community, eventually finding herself at Faithstone Ministries. Faithstone Ministries wasn't just a church, it was a pillar of the Canyon community, renowned for its supportive environment. Emily was drawn to the church's charismatic leader, Reverend Samuel Grayson, who seemed to epitomize the strength and comfort she desperately needed. Their relationship began innocently, with Grayson offering counseling sessions to help her navigate her post-divorce emotions. However, the dynamic of their meetings subtly shifted over time, growing increasingly personal, as Grayson took a special interest in Emily's well-being. This growing closeness marked a critical junction in Emily's life. Her trust in Grayson and her reliance on his guidance reflected not just her vulnerability, but also her search for belonging and understanding within her community. This foundation sets the stage for the complex and emotionally charged interactions that would later have profound implications for both Emily and the entire Faithstone community. Let's continue to explore how this relationship evolved, shedding light on the emotional and psychological complexities involved. Reverend Samuel Grayson wasn't just a preacher, he was a figure of authority and trust in Canyon, Texas, a role he inherited from a family deeply embedded in the church's history. Born in 1968 to Pastor William Grayson and Eleanor Grayson, Samuel was raised within the walls of Faithstone Ministries, absorbing his father's teachings and stepping into leadership roles as early as his teens. His father's death in 1992 thrust Samuel into a position of significant influence at a young age, a role he embraced fully. Under his leadership, Faithstone Ministries flourished, expanding its reach and becoming a prominent religious institution in the region. The church's success was mirrored by its polished public image, spearheaded by Grayson's compelling sermons and his personal charisma. To the outside world, Grayson was a widower devoted to his teenage daughter, living a life congruent with his faith and the moral expectations of his congregation. However, whispers within the community suggested a different story, a story of a man who maintained strict control and whose interactions with certain female congregants were cause for concern. These undercurrents of discord were largely dismissed or overlooked, attributed to Grayson's stern demeanor rather than any malintent. As we peel back the layers of Grayson's public facade, we begin to see the complexity of a man living a dual existence, balancing a cultivated image of righteousness with secretive, darker impulses. This duality is crucial in understanding the eventual unraveling of his life and ministry. Let's examine how his control over the congregation began to extend into more personal and ultimately harmful directions. As Faithstone Ministries thrived under Samuel Grayson's leadership, so too did his personal influence within the congregation, particularly among the women who sought his counsel. The church served as a sanctuary for many, but for some it became a place of vulnerability where Grayson's role as a spiritual advisor began to cross into personal boundaries. Grayson's approach to counseling was initially seen as a testament to his dedication, often focusing on individuals who were going through significant life challenges, such as divorce, loss, or financial hardship. However, his interest in these congregants, especially the women, gradually shifted from pastoral care to something more intrusive. He had a pattern of offering personal attention that, while seemingly benign at first, often escalated into controlling behavior. This pattern was not isolated to one or two cases, but was a repeated behavior observed by those within his inner circle. Emily Parker and Rachel Barnes, among others, experienced this shift firsthand. What started as spiritual guidance slowly morphed into a manipulative relationship, where Grayson's initially comforting presence became a dominating force in their lives. Grayson's dual role as a spiritual leader and manipulator highlights a critical aspect of his influence. He leveraged his authority to create dependencies, making it difficult for these women to distinguish between genuine pastoral care and manipulation. This blurred line not only compromised their ability to seek help, but also deepened their entanglement in his controlling web, setting the stage for the more severe transgressions that would later come to light. As we move forward, let's look into the chilling events that unfolded one evening, revealing the true extent of Grayson's manipulation. The turning point in Reverend Samuel Grayson's manipulative saga occurred one fateful evening, when the underlying tension at Faithstone Ministries reached a boiling point. Emily Parker was invited to Grayson's home under the pretense of discussing a new charity initiative. However, upon her arrival, the atmosphere was unsettlingly tense, a stark contrast to the usual warmth she had come to expect. The house was dimly lit and unusually quiet, suggesting a private matter was unfolding. Emily noticed Rachel Barnes' car in the driveway, sparking an immediate sense of unease. This was unexpected, as Grayson had not mentioned anyone else would be present. Inside, Grayson greeted Emily, but quickly excused himself to finalize what he described as a private counseling session in his study, urging Emily to wait in the living room. The solitude of the living room, punctuated only by the ticking of a grandfather clock and distant, muffled voices, heightened Emily's anxiety. Driven by a mix of curiosity and concern, Emily approached the study, her heart pounding as she neared. Through a crack in the door, she witnessed a harrowing scene. Rachel Barnes, visibly distressed, pleading with Grayson, who responded not with words of comfort, but with a chilling calmness that belied the gravity of the situation. The evening escalated rapidly when Emily heard a crash, followed by a scream, confirming her worst fears about Grayson's true nature. Overcome with horror yet driven by a desperate need for evidence, Emily recorded the altercation on her phone, capturing the sounds of Rachel's distress and Grayson's menacing tone. This act of bravery would later prove pivotal, as it provided tangible proof of the threats lurking behind Grayson's composed facade. This critical moment revealed the depth of Grayson's deceit and manipulation, marking a turning point not only in Emily's life, but also in the broader investigation that would follow. As we continue, we will explore the immediate aftermath of this incident and the chain of events it set into motion. The aftermath of the harrowing incident at Reverend Samuel Grayson's house was immediate and dramatic for Emily Parker. After witnessing an undeniable act of violence, Emily's instinct was to flee. Her escape was frantic and fraught with danger as she ran through the night, the rough terrain underfoot tearing at her bare feet. Emily's journey ended at a local gas station, where, exhausted and terrified, she sought refuge. Upon reaching the safety of the gas station, Emily was a picture of distress, disheveled, injured, and in shock. The station clerk quickly realized the gravity of the situation and called the police. Emily, clutching her phone, her only proof of the night's events, relayed her story to the authorities. Her recording, though partially muffled, captured enough of Rachel's cries and Grayson's threatening tone to prompt immediate police action. This evidence spurred the Canyon Sheriff's Department into action the very next morning. Detectives arrived at Grayson's residence with a sense of urgency, driven by the need to uncover the truth behind Emily's allegations. Grayson greeted them with his usual calm demeanor, seemingly unshaken by their presence and the serious implications of their visit. The contrast between Emily's disarray and Grayson's composed appearance highlighted the manipulative control Grayson wielded, even in the face of potential exposure. This initial police response, marked by skepticism yet propelled by the need to investigate Emily's claims thoroughly, set the stage for a broader investigation that would unravel the full extent of Grayson's deceit and the impact on his victims. Next, we will delve into how the community reacted to these shocking revelations and the complex web of relationships and trust that began to unravel. As news of the investigation into Reverend Samuel Grayson spread, The Canyon community reacted with a mixture of disbelief and dismay. Grayson had been a pillar of the community, his sermons a weekly fixture for many, and his moral leadership considered beyond reproach. The allegations brought forth by Emily Parker, supported by the distressing audio recording, created a ripple effect, shaking the foundations of trust and faith within the congregation and beyond. Community members found themselves torn. Some rallied behind Grayson, unable to reconcile the man they knew with the acts he was accused of. They organized support groups, prayer meetings, and public statements defending him, emphasizing his past contributions and the perceived integrity of his character. This support was fueled by Grayson's own steadfast denial of any wrongdoing, which he maintained even as the investigation deepened. Conversely, others in the community began to voice their own suspicions and experiences, hinting at previously unspoken concerns about Grayson's behavior. As more individuals came forward, a more complex and troubling picture emerged. This dichotomy within the community not only heightened tensions, but also sparked a broader dialogue about trust, leadership, and accountability in places of worship. The media played a significant role in shaping public perception, with local and eventually national outlets picking up the story. The coverage amplified the community's divisions, drawing attention to the need for transparency and the challenges of confronting beloved figures who may have abused their positions of power. As this story unfolds further, we'll explore the discovery of additional evidence and the widening scope of the investigation, which brought even more unsettling truths to light. The investigation into Reverend Samuel Grayson took a significant turn when more evidence began to surface. During a thorough search of the church premises and Grayson's home, investigators uncovered a hidden room beneath the church's foundation. This chilling discovery revealed not just one, but multiple victims' personal belongings, suggesting a pattern of behavior that extended far beyond what was initially known. The hidden room contained an array of items that were deeply personal: letters, jewelry, and even photographs that documented Grayson's interactions with several women over the years. Forensic teams worked meticulously to identify these items, linking them to women who had mysteriously disappeared or had unexplained breaks in their relationships with the church. This discovery prompted law enforcement to re-examine cold cases, looking for any possible connections to Faithstone Ministries. It became apparent that Grayson's actions were part of a long-standing series of manipulations and abuses of power. The evidence found in the hidden room not only corroborated Emily Parker's account, but also exposed a much darker and more extensive history of criminal activity than anyone had suspected. As the scope of the investigation widened, the community's shock turned to outrage. The trust that many had placed in Grayson was irrevocably shattered, leading to a crisis of faith for some and a call for justice from others. This phase of the investigation underscored the severity of Grayson's betrayal and set the stage for the legal proceedings that would follow, focusing on holding him accountable for the breadth of his crimes. As we continue, we will delve into the trial that gripped the community and the nation, revealing the full extent of Grayson's deceit and the consequences he would face. The trial of Reverend Samuel Grayson became a focal point not only for the community of Canyon, Texas, but also for a national audience captivated by the downfall of a once revered spiritual leader. The courtroom became the arena where the accumulated evidence against Grayson was laid bare, including the damning audio recordings made by Emily Parker and the physical evidence discovered in the hidden room beneath the church. District Attorney Linda Harper led the prosecution, meticulously presenting each piece of evidence to establish a pattern of predatory behavior by Grayson. The audio recordings played in court were especially powerful, capturing the fear in Rachel Barnes' voice and Grayson's menacing responses. These recordings provided a stark contrast to the composed demeanor Grayson maintained in court. The items recovered from the hidden room were displayed for the jury, each one tagged and cataloged as evidence of Grayson's multiple transgressions. Personal belongings of several missing women were shown, linking Grayson to their disappearances and undermining his claims of innocence. Witness testimony compounded the material evidence. Former members of the congregation and other women who had interacted with Grayson testified about their experiences, painting a picture of a man who exploited his spiritual authority for manipulation and control. As the trial progressed, the weight of the evidence and the powerful testimonies began to sway public opinion even further against Grayson. The community grappled with the revelations, struggling to reconcile the spiritual leader they thought they knew with the evidence of his heinous acts. The trial not only highlighted the crimes, but also sparked wider discussions about accountability and the responsibilities of religious leaders to their congregants. As we move forward, we'll see how the trial concluded and the lasting impacts it had on the community and beyond. The verdict in Reverend Samuel Grayson's trial was delivered swiftly after weeks of testimony that had riveted the community and the nation. The jury, tasked with determining Grayson's fate, needed only a few hours of deliberation before finding him guilty on all counts. This included multiple charges of murder, abuse, and embezzlement, signaling a definitive end to the once respected preacher's career and freedom. The courtroom was packed as the verdict was read, with a palpable tension giving way to a mix of relief and sorrow among the attendees. Some cried softly, overwhelmed by the magnitude of the justice served, while others remained stunned, still processing the extent of Grayson's betrayal. The judge handed down a life sentence without the possibility of parole, underscoring the severity of Grayson's crimes and the irreversible harm he had caused to his victims and their families. As Grayson was led away in handcuffs, the reality of his downfall resonated deeply with those present. It was a sobering moment that marked both closure for the victims and a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities within trusted institutions. In the aftermath of the trial, Faithstone Ministries faced an uncertain future. The congregation was left fractured, with many members departing and others struggling to redefine their community without its longtime leader. The church's reputation suffered greatly, and it became a case study in the importance of oversight and accountability in religious organizations. The trial and its outcomes had a lasting impact on Canyon and similar communities, prompting many to reevaluate how they place trust in their leaders and the mechanisms in place to protect the vulnerable from those who would exploit their authority. The conclusion of this trial did not just signify an end to a tragic chapter, but also ignited a crucial dialogue on ethical leadership and the safeguards necessary to prevent such abuses in the future. In the wake of Reverend Samuel Grayson's conviction, the community of Canyon, Texas, and the broader societal context began the difficult process of healing and reflection. The impact of the trial extended beyond the immediate legal outcomes, prompting a deeper examination of systemic issues within religious organizations and how they can be addressed to prevent future abuses. The dissolution of Faithstone Ministries was inevitable given the revelations of Grayson's long-standing misconduct. The church's buildings, once filled with congregants, stood as a stark reminder of the deception that had occurred within their walls. Discussions about the future of the property and the community it once served were fraught with emotion and uncertainty. For the members who remained, the task was to rebuild trust and reestablish a community that was more transparent and safeguarded against the concentration of unchecked power. New leadership was sought, with a clear mandate to ensure accountability and create a safer, more inclusive environment. Simultaneously, the case had a ripple effect on how other churches and religious organizations viewed and handled internal governance. Many instituted more rigorous background checks, established clearer boundaries for pastoral counseling, and implemented policies that encouraged reporting suspicious activities. Educational workshops and seminars became more prevalent, aimed at helping congregants recognize the signs of manipulation and abuse. These programs stress the importance of questioning and critically evaluating the actions and motives of those in positions of authority. The Grayson case also bolstered advocacy efforts for victims of spiritual abuse, giving rise to new support networks and resources dedicated to helping those affected by similar traumas. These networks provided a platform for sharing stories and healing, reinforcing the idea that no one should suffer in silence or fear retribution for speaking out. This period of recovery and change was a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the communal desire to seek justice and reform. The lessons learned from the Faithstone scandal have since informed broader discussions on ethical leadership and the need for systemic changes to protect the most vulnerable in society. The enduring legacy of the Samuel Grayson case is a poignant reminder of the power of resilience and the pursuit of justice. Emily Parker, once a central figure in the traumatic events at Faithstone Ministries, chose to relocate, seeking a fresh start away from the shadows of her past. Her courage in coming forward had not only catalyzed a significant legal battle, but also sparked a nationwide discussion on the manipulation and misuse of authority in spiritual communities. As Emily rebuilt her life, her story continued to inspire others who had faced similar ordeals. She became an advocate for survivors of spiritual and emotional abuse, sharing her experiences at conferences and through publications, contributing to a growing awareness and understanding of such abuses. Meanwhile, the town of Canyon, though scarred by the scandal, gradually found its way forward. The church's property was repurposed into a community center focused on healing and spiritual renewal, symbolizing a collective desire to mend the fractures within the community. This transformation was supported by local leaders and survivors alike, who worked together to ensure that the new space would serve as a beacon of hope and recovery. The broader societal impact of the case was seen in the changes it prompted in legal and policy frameworks. Legislators, motivated by the high-profile nature of the Grayson case, passed new laws aimed at increasing transparency and accountability in religious and charitable organizations. These laws emphasized the importance of external audits and mandated the reporting of any suspicious activities directly to law enforcement. In academia and religious studies, the case became a subject of analysis and debate, often cited in discussions about ethical leadership and the psychological impact of charismatic authority. Universities developed case studies and courses that explored the complex dynamics of power, trust, and betrayal, educating future leaders on the ethical dimensions of leadership. The legacy of this case thus extends far beyond the immediate legal repercussions for Samuel Grayson. It has reshaped how communities think about trust and authority, highlighted the importance of protective measures for the vulnerable, and reinforced the notion that justice, though sometimes slow, can be an agent of profound societal change. As the dust settled on the Samuel Grayson case, the narratives woven from the trial continued to reverberate through media, influencing public discourse and shaping perceptions of justice and leadership within the community and beyond. Documentaries and books began to emerge, dissecting the events that led to the downfall of a once trusted religious leader, each aiming to provide insights into the psychological and sociological elements that contributed to such a dramatic betrayal. These narratives played a crucial role in educating the public on the complexities of psychological manipulation and the signs of coercive control hidden under the guise of spiritual authority. They also sparked conversations about the responsibilities of community members to hold their leaders accountable and the importance of listening to and supporting survivors of abuse. The influence of the case also extended into preventive measures and educational initiatives designed to empower individuals. Workshops and seminars focused on ethical leadership became more prevalent, particularly in religious and educational settings, where leaders are often entrusted with significant influence over others. In Canyon and similar communities, local governments and civic organizations took proactive steps to review and strengthen regulations governing nonprofit entities, aiming to prevent a recurrence of such abuses. These efforts included better vetting processes, more stringent oversight, and clearer channels through which members could voice concerns anonymously. The impact of Emily Parker's bravery and the subsequent trial of Samuel Grayson has left an indelible mark on society's approach to leadership and accountability. The collective lessons learned continue to fuel movements for greater transparency and integrity in all areas of public life, ensuring that the legacy of this case will influence generations to come in their pursuit of ethical conduct and communal well-being. In the broader context of cultural and social reform, the Samuel Grayson case catalyzed a shift towards more rigorous standards for moral and ethical conduct in leadership roles, especially within religious communities. This shift has been evident in the development of new training programs for religious leaders, emphasizing the importance of ethics, accountability, and the well-being of congregants. These programs aim to cultivate a new generation of leaders who prioritize transparency and the prevention of abuse. The legal and societal responses to the Grayson case have also prompted religious organizations worldwide to reevaluate their structures. Many have implemented regular internal reviews and have established independent committees to oversee the conduct of their leaders, ensuring that power is never again misused so grievously. Furthermore, the dialogue generated by this case has led to a more profound understanding of victim psychology and the long-term impacts of spiritual abuse. Mental health professionals have developed specialized therapeutic approaches to help survivors of such traumas rebuild their trust and find healing, contributing to a more empathetic and informed approach to mental health care. As these changes permeate various aspects of society, they reinforce the importance of collective vigilance and the role of community in safeguarding against the abuse of power. The Grayson case serves as a powerful reminder of the potential consequences of unchecked authority and the enduring strength of communal resilience and moral courage in the face of wrongdoing. This ongoing transformation lays a foundation for a future where trust and power are wielded with care and respect, ensuring such tragedies are remembered and not repeated. As the legacy of the Samuel Grayson case continues to influence societal norms and practices, its impact has extended into the legislative arena, inspiring lawmakers to craft stricter regulations surrounding accountability in religious and nonprofit organizations. This legal shift aims to fortify the framework that detects and responds to misconduct, ensuring that potential abuses are addressed swiftly and transparently. This legislative change has been accompanied by an increased public demand for leaders who not only preach values, but also live by them. Communities are more actively engaging in the selection and oversight of their leaders, emphasizing participatory governance and the inclusion of diverse voices in decision-making processes. This grassroots involvement is crucial in building robust community structures resistant to manipulation. Educational institutions have responded to this cultural shift by integrating discussions about ethical leadership and the psychology of manipulation into their curricula. This educational approach seeks to equip students with the critical thinking skills necessary to recognize and challenge unethical behaviors in all areas of life, from religious institutions to corporate boardrooms. Moreover, the case has inspired a wave of advocacy and support groups that provide resources and networks for individuals affected by similar issues. These groups offer a platform for shared experiences and recovery, enhancing community support systems and promoting healing through collective action. Thus, the effects of the Grayson case have seeded a comprehensive societal transformation that transcends the immediate community of Canyon, Texas. It has sparked a movement towards greater ethical vigilance and communal empowerment, reshaping how authority is viewed and exercised across various societal spheres.